Welcome to the DSPN.
He's given him. Wow, there you go. He was forward.
Oh, a punch up now in midfield. Fraser's involved.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Marty, Devlin, Lachlan Waugh. Friday, ahead of the weekend. What's going on in sport this weekend? About to tell you. We put out a show/podcast every afternoon here. You can listen to it on Rover, the app, or if you're watching it right now, DSPN YouTube channel. A little bit of admin to take care of. And I know you get sick of this and probably get sick of people asking. And so many people these days, they love to view, but they don't want to follow or subscribe. Well, it's really important this side of your camera or your microphone that you do. So if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers by this weekend and try to get to 5,000 in the next few weeks. And if you're following us all on social media, Martin Devlin _DSPN, then if you hit the follow, it's big time for us. It really does help us. Thank you for that. On the show today, Chris Jones out of the UK. Six Nations Rugby kicks off this weekend. Fantastic. I love this competition, and the marquee matchup is Ireland versus England on Sunday. We'll talk all about that. Simon Hill is going to join us. He's an A-League caller out of Sydney. And going to look at the Auckland FC team. Not that Auckland, just Auckland FC. How much respect did they have at the moment being top of that table? The Cardiac Kings scoring so many late goals. And what's gone wrong with the Phoenix this year? 5-3-6. Phoenix play next Thursday. Auckland play on Saturday. So he'll cast his expert eye all over that. We're going to have a good, healthy round of what is more chance of happening as we run through most of the major fixtures this weekend you might like to look at. We start the show every day, same old way, with a sermon from the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Rugby, it's back. Six Nations, as I said. Well, that's the major match-ups of any real meaning this weekend. But Super Rugby kicking off as well. By the time you see this, well, a couple of games already underway. Pre-season. Yes, it's pre-season, so take a big breath. It's only pre-season, which means the results are... yeah. That's it. They don't mean anything. Let me repeat that. The matches are irrelevant in terms of who scored how many points. It doesn't matter. They're just hit-outs, a chance to blow a few cobwebs out, try a few combinations, get out on the grass again, no injuries, please. And for the Crusaders and the Blues, who are kicking off 3:30 this afternoon, the chance to get up close and personal with a good few punters. This is the best bit of all. That match today in Kiwi. Where? West Canterbury, on the way to Darfield. Don't turn off at Glen Tunnel. Blink and you will miss it. But 3,000 folk, how good? Google Map it if you don't want to get lost. All of those people sold out, getting the chance to see their blokes up close. Well, this is brilliant. This is what they mean when they say grassroots rugby. It's something that the game talks about a lot, but never really does a lot of. Super Rugby is back, folks. The competition proper kicks off in a fortnight from Feb the 14th, Valentine's Day. Make sure that if you are doing something romantic that day, that it is before the first match. I mean, it's always, hey, we're doing lunch today. Yeah, we're doing lunch. 5:30, early dinner. Everything else is booked out. But this week, the very first little whiff. As I said, Six Nations this weekend and Super Rugby pre-season. Rugby is back, and don't pretend you didn't miss it. I know you did.
Devlin.
Rugby is back, and don't even pretend that you haven't missed it. Super Rugby pre-season today. And the Six Nations this weekend. That's the real contestable stuff. 3 matches as always. And the big boy is Sunday morning, New Zealand time. You might have to record this one and then get up and watch it a bit later. But to cast his expert eye over, as always, it's our good old mate from RugbyPass and the Times Online, Chris Jones out of London. Happy New Year to you, mate. I know it's the end of January, but we haven't spoken for a while, right?
I know it's great to catch up, just on the eve of yet another Six Nations. But of course, it's a special year. It's a Lions year, so there's an extra edge, Marty, to the whole thing. Yeah, who will make that tour party?
Yeah, how is that going to affect it before we get into these matches? I mean, I've had people say to me, "Oh, the squad, most of them already know that they're in. Is it going to kind of demotivate them to play these matches?" I can't see that. I mean, they are going to go hell for leather, aren't they? And obviously, the performances in the Six Nations are going to lead you to be selected for that. That's how I would think the natural progression goes.
Absolutely. This will determine these matches, particularly Ireland versus England on the first weekend, just how many places England get, because Ireland are going so well, and then you've got to ask, well, the Scots are looking pretty good. How many will England get? And it's going to dominate all the way through, right to the final match, which is going to be England versus Wales in Cardiff.
Great. I mean, look, just when you think about that, and even though Wales might have lost every single test match last year, and we'll talk in a second about them playing France in the opener, that match, it boils the blood, doesn't it? Just explain to us all why a match like that means so much. You've played 150 times, but why does it still mean so much?
Well, particularly speaking as a Welshman, if and it could be that by the time we get there, Wales have won a game this season, given they're going into the championship having lost 12 in a row. The one game that if you could win it is a panacea for all ills is if Wales can beat England, then everybody goes to work on Monday with a big smile on their face.
There you go.
And it's as simple as that. It's as barbaric as that. And it's the game that England always fear, because if they are just at a couple of percent short under a closed roof, and there will be closed roofs at Cardiff for the next 2 years under agreement now, the noise will be cacophonous. It'll be amazing. And, nobody likes anything better in Wales than to knock over England. And it's just going to be one of those games. It's going to be, no matter what the situation is with Wales, and, that wooden spoon holders. Even Italy managed 2 wins last season. If Wales are down the bottom again then, they'll have nothing to save the season except beating England.
Chris, so why are they shutting the roof? Why have they agreed to that deal?
Well, I should think they're pretty bored of the story that comes out every Friday. Will the roof be closed or not?
Okay.
And they decided to ensure the conditions are going to be perfect for rugby. And we are trying to sell a product here to the world that there will be perfect conditions. A bit like Dunedin, that you guaranteed a winless, rainless match. And
there you go.
Hey, if teams want to play the sort of rugby that's going to get people out of their seats, then why not?
All right, underway tomorrow New Zealand time. A great time to watch a game of rugby here down this part of the world. 9:15 kickoff over breakfast, and that is Wales against France. And we always expect France and Ireland, or most recently, to dominate this competition. Warren Gatland under so much pressure. What hope do Wales have to knock over the French in this one?
Very little. Even with Damien Penaud not on the right wing, and he's been in absolutely scintillating form, they've just picked another guy with lots of tries, and Bielberry, who runs so quickly that Sean doesn't know if he is as fast as Martin I used to be. And it's that quick a problem that's coming at Wales. It's not going to be one area of attack. It's going to be through the forwards. It's going to be the halfbacks, where we've got, of course, accepted by everybody in the Southern Hemisphere, the greatest scrum half the world's ever seen. And then you've got a whole series of backs with individual skills to get the stadium rocking. And the problem with France is that they need to start well, because in the sequence of matches in this particular year, they are away to Ireland and England, and that will shape their season. And on March the 8th, when France play Ireland, that is what everybody thinks will be the decider for the championship.
All right, and how much pressure is Warren Gatland under? I mean, we talked about this last year when every single game was lost, and England, that game in Cardiff, if he won that game, probably would save his job. But would it be over by then if Wales don't win a game up until that point?
Look, he's under massive pressure. He's tried to deflect it in every way he can. He's been making some strange selection calls. A guy called Max Llewellyn, whose father played second row for Wales, has been ripping up trees for Gloucester, playing at 13. And then Warren says, we picked the centres we picked for this match because we haven't got anybody playing well at 13, at which Gloucester fans are going, we're not that far away from Wales, mate. Come and have a look at us. There's been some very strange calls. There are a lot of injuries around. Falatau's not available for this first game, and that's a massive amount of experience lost to the back row. And they are a very, very young team. And, in 2 or 3 years, they might be useful. But they've got one brilliant scrum half, Thomas Williams, who will be the Lions scrum half in Australia. And outside that, not a lot.
Second game up, Murrayfield, Scotland versus Italy. How many times can we say, Scotland are on the rise, watch out for Scotland, Scotland are dangerous, and then kind of we expect a hell of a lot and then they don't really deliver? We've been saying this for a number of seasons now.
Yeah, and this year, talking about fixtures again, they go away to England and France. So, if they're going to win a championship, this is a pretty hard year to do it in. And they are good. They're a good team. The Glasgow Warriors have been doing really well in the United Rugby Championship. And, they've got some quality players. Finn Russell is playing out of his skin at the moment. I saw him last weekend playing for Bath. And, they've got all the bits and pieces to be a very successful team. What they don't have yet is the, you would argue, is the confidence to go and win 5 matches. And they are a team that has better strength and depth at the moment. But, Italy beat them last year. Italy come to Murrayfield, their teams are going well. Benetton have just qualified for the last 16 of the European Cup. And, Zebre even won over in Ireland last weekend. So this is not a pushover for the Scots. And, the Scots really have to prove to us that they're the real deal. And they haven't done that yet.
Yeah. They've got to do that by winning successive matches, don't they? It's no good with just a one-off performance, because even against South Africa last year, they performed well. Obviously, they lost that game. But, I just kind of think they're on the brink, but they're going to have to win 2, 3, 4 matches. As far as the blockbuster this weekend goes, as you mentioned, Dublin, Ireland versus England. And we've been talking over recent weeks, Tony Johnson on the podcast, as well as Justin Marshall as well. Are the Irish dipping a little? We've got to play them, obviously, in Chicago later in the year. They've been that number one team, but I don't know. Down here, we're getting a feeling that perhaps that mantle's just slipping a little. Is that the same feeling up there?
No.
No. Okay.
The 23,
right. Maybe we're just talking to ourselves.
The 23 players picked for England include 16 from Leinster, who have been the outstanding team in Europe, apart from Toulouse. And those Leinster boys are used to winning. And they've now got Prendergast playing at outside half, who looks like a young Johnny Sexton, but is quicker and has a better sidestep. And if he comes of age against England, then you can say that Ireland will be favourites to win again the championship. And the Prendergast will be putting a big bid in to be the Lions outside half if Finn Russell doesn't have the greatest of seasons. So this is, it is a massive game. Look, England going to Ireland. England somehow snatched a drop goal win against Ireland at Twickenham last year.
They played well that day.
That was their best match.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that was their best match. But since then, all they can beat is Eddie Jones's mate, Japan.
Well, they weren't too far off against us, the width of a post, and against Australia, remember, in the last minute. I actually think they're going to surprise. I think this England team, I'm not going to say on the rise, but I think they might surprise.
Well, look, they have decided to go down the route of playing a very fast game. They've picked a back row of the Curry twins, Ben and Tom, and Ben Earl. Now, that means they've given up the lineup. Basically, they've only got 2 jumpers to the lineup because those 3 do not win lineup ball. And so what they're going to do, they're going to make the breakdown an absolute mayhem. And it's going to be a joy to watch the 2 Curry boys in operation, because they are absolutely fearless. If you can imagine a sort of a combination of Reid and McCaw with slightly loopy idea of personal safety, you'd probably get some idea what these boys play like. And they're going to be great to watch. But I tell you what, that Irish team is not going to fear a couple of Currys and a Ben Earl, because they've taken on the best, including you lot, and they know they can win.
The introduction of the 20-minute red card, we are smirked down this end of the world. Oh my God, the Northern Hemisphere is adopting one of our brilliant ideas. How much is this going to affect anything? And I don't suppose we're going to get the answer till we actually see it happen. But has it been universally accepted up there as, yes, this is actually a better way of dealing with it, especially for a lot of incidents where we know it is an accident rather than deliberate?
This week we've had former referees saying, look, you've got to have the red card, straight red card. If it's foul play, make sure that doesn't change. And we've seen the erosion of the refereeing importance of on the pitch by the constant interruptions. I know this is a bugbear of yours, of the TMO. And it's been through the European Cup. We've seen an awful lot of instances where the TMOs just said, hold on, man, have a look at this. And play's been going on. No one's noticed anything's gone on. So the 20-minute red card people are hoping it doesn't disfigure as many games, having somebody off in the first 3 or 4 minutes and that team playing for 14 men. But we must ensure that we don't then downgrade offences which are normally straight reds.
100%.
And
100%.
We have to show some steel in that. We can't allow that sort of erosion of really difficult decisions the referee has to make. Let him make them. If he thinks it's a red card, it's a red card. That's great. That's what the referee's there for. I really don't like the idea that we're going to refer more and more to the bloke sitting in that van with the title of TMO, because there are good referees out there. Let them referee. And there's other things we're copying from you. We're doing the Protect the Nine. The stadium referee microphone will be on, and restarts are going down to 60 seconds and 30 seconds for scrums and liners. So you've given us a few things to work on. Thanks for that. Any more nice ideas, do send them up. We'll have a look at them.
Well, let's just agree then finally that, obviously the most scintillating rugby is played down here. Obviously the most dominant teams in the world are down here. And obviously the best ideas to forward the game come from here.
Have you noticed Australia recently? They've been playing some absolutely great stuff. I think you guys could be in trouble across the Tasman next time you take them on, you see. The tectonic shifts of rugby are shifting, and you guys should be worried about Australia and Joe Smith. That's all. That's what you should be concentrating on. Let us get on with our jewel in the rugby crown, which is the Six Nations.
I'll leave you with this then. What is more chance of happening? The All Blacks beat the Springboks twice in New Zealand this year, or Australia win the series against the Lions? What is more chance of happening?
You guys have got more chance of beating the Boks.
All right, Lachlan, time to play your favourite game, which is called...
Well, I'm really enjoying the NFL right now, so I guess
I was up until Monday.
Glass half full?
No.
What has more chance of happening?
I present two scenarios to you, and you tell me what is more chance of happening. And what we do, people, is we're just running through some of the most major sporting fixtures of the weekend, let you know when they're on. What is more chance of happening? Anyone remembers all of the results of pre-season Super Rugby this weekend, or Six Nations tomorrow morning, 9:15 our time, great time to watch rugby. Wales beat France in Paris. There you go, okay? So next week I'd just run a quiz and I'd say you have to remember every single result of all the pre-season Super Rugby games, or Wales beat France and Paris. What is more chance of happening?
Well, one of those is pretty easy to attain, isn't it? You just got to write down the results and then remember them.
No one cares about them because they don't matter.
No, they don't matter. Wales are not beating France. Then again, who knows? Maybe they've had a bit of a turnaround over the summer.
If this was in Cardiff, I'd give them maybe a 15 to 20% chance. But this is in Paris, mate.
Yeah. There's no chance.
No, there's no
so
chance.
I guess there's more chance that someone remembers all of the Super Rugby pre-season results.
What is more chance of happening then? Wales beat France in Paris, or Italy beat Scotland, Murrayfield, Sunday 3:15 a.m.
Italy beat Scotland at Murrayfield.
They beat them last year, but that of course
was
in
Italy.
In Italy,
and this is a good Scottish team. And I would think...
just before you say that, everyone keeps saying that. But they don't. Well, when do they win? What games do they win?
Well, they've beaten England, haven't they? Beaten England the last two Six Nations comps.
Yeah, I think everyone does, don't they?
Well, England beat Ireland last year.
Yeah, well, that was the one big win that they had in the Six Nations.
They nearly beat France. There was a couple more minutes. Now, granted, it's an 80-minute game, not an 83-minute game.
Hang on, so nearly wins start counting again.
Hold up, but
we nearly beat the Eagles. In the first,
no, you didn't.
In the first half.
In the first half, because it's a game of 2 quarters, is it?
Yeah, right.
Okay. No, but look, Scotland have, compared to their history, at least of this century, they've been pretty good the last couple of years.
Look, I rate this team.
They've probably got the best first 5 in the world as well.
I think I rate them because I want them to be good and want them to be competitive.
No, but they are better than what they were, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
They are.
Okay.
But granted, that's compared to their own standards. It's not compared to Ireland and France. I mean, they're worse than those two. Anyway, point is, Italy... There's more of a chance that they beat Scotland and Murrayfield. They won't, but there's more of a chance.
Well, what is more chance of happening then? Still Six Nations rugby. Italy get up over the Jocks at Murrayfield. Or Sunday, 5:45 New Zealand time. Now, this is one you might want to press record on, wake up, have some breakfast and watch it, because it's going to be a hell of a watch. Either Italy beat Scotland or England upset the Irish in Dublin. And I have to add that word upset because it would be an upset. I give the Poms more chance than I give Italy, actually, to be honest.
Now, Ireland don't have Andy Farrell, do they?
they're still a great team, mate. Don't worry about what the coach does. Think about the players that they've got.
Well, okay. They, towards the end of last year, didn't look as good as what they had looked
Still
like.
won all the games, just about all of them, right? Except us.
Yeah, but the eye test, they didn't quite pass it the way they had.
No,
they
that's
weren't
fair.
passing in flying colours, were they? So
No.
I'd agree with that. There's probably more chance England win. Again, Italy, they are capable of these wins, just not really.
Who do you
on the
want to
road.
win? I mean, out of the English and the Irish. I mean, I'm
English.
Oh, for God's sake, I'm a Martin Patrick Devlin, mate.
Well, I've got Irish blood as well. My grandmother's maiden
You
name
don't
was
want the
Kelman.
Poms to win a game of rugby,
Yeah,
do you?
this is just like the Aussie cricketers. I don't hate England as much as others do. I really don't. I dislike Ireland more right now than England.
What is more chance of happening? A-League. Auckland, or Macarthur, who are in fourth, beat Auckland Saturday 5 o'clock here in Auckland. Or Bournemouth beat Liverpool. Bournemouth are at home 4 a.m. Sunday Premier League. What is more chance
Now,
of happening?
Bournemouth are on a run of something like 11 or 12.
They just spanked Forest 5-0 last
Yeah,
weekend.
games unbeaten in the league. I think it's 11 in the league, 12 in all competitions. Beat Forest 5-0. I don't know. I would say this. To be honest, I'd say there's more chance that my beloved Liverpool drop points on the road against Bournemouth.
Yeah, but it's where they were. I think this has got draw written all over it potentially because Bournemouth are a good side. Mind you, Liverpool...
We've looked shaky this month, though.
Well, yeah, but you're still winning every single game you play.
No, we had about 2 or 3 draws, and then that was broken up by, halted. That poor momentum, if you will, was halted by, who did we beat? Ipswich last weekend. We still conceded a goal. No, I think Auckland FC won't really struggle against Macarthur at home. Then again, they did the home game not long. Was it in December? They got absolutely killed by someone.
Yeah,
So
one
they're
versus
not
4,
unbeatable
that is.
at home.
1 versus 4. Phoenix play next week. What is more chance of happening? Bournemouth beat Liverpool at home 4 a.m. Sunday morning, or Brighton upset Nottingham Forest at the City Ground in Nottingham.
Brighton won. Absolutely.
They just lost at home to Everton.
No, yeah, but Everton, this happens. New manager syndrome, okay? Whenever a team gets a new manager, they go through, unlike Man United with Amram, it seems, they go through a string of really not great results, but better results than what they were experiencing. Brighton, Forest are a good side. They're having a great season, but this isn't like Brighton against Liverpool. It's not Brighton against Man City, who right now, if you're talking about the most dangerous teams in the Premier League, Man City's probably up there with Liverpool, more so than Forest. It's
I
nothing
think they're
against
going on a roll
Forest.
now. I think City going
Well,
on a
they
roll.
can.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely a winnable game for Brighton. Absolutely.
What is more chance of happening?
I don't think a lot separates the likes of Brighton, Forest, Fulham, Bournemouth, Newcastle. I think those teams are all in sort of a similar
Listen to this,
pool.
society. You won't add my team into that.
No, because you guys
That's
are in the
because-
bottom
that's
half of the
because
table.
We're in this half of the table.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, not as bad as Spurs.
And Marcus Rashford, you pretentious little pouty prat, you're not going to get a transfer before the deadline, are you? You're going to have to stay. And if you stay, play. Or if you don't, F off, mate.
Did you see what Jamie Carragher said? I know you probably don't like him because he's a scouse.
No, I don't, mate. I don't
But what
mind
he said
Carragher as
about
a pundit,
Rashford, he said, stop with all the talk and whatnot.
Yeah.
Stop with all your people making comments.
Yeah.
Just turn up, train, work hard. It's the only thing you can do.
And prove it on the pitch. And do you know his whole life has turned around and changed since he ditched his longtime love girlfriend for the one with the duck lips who's an influencer.
Yeah.
Okay? As soon as you say the word influencer, right? Yes! What is more chance of happening? Bournemouth
Why are you picking on my team?
beat Liverpool.
What's going on?
Or Arsenal beat Man City Monday 5:30.
That's at the Emirates, isn't it?
I don't care where it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah,
Arsenal,
it is.
you're not winning this game.
No, Man City are going to win this.
Absolutely
They're
they
gonna
are.
win it.
Arsenal,
And I'll be wearing a sky blue shirt, getting up early to watch this game, being
Yeah,
the
cracker
biggest
of a
Man City
game.
fan. Because if Man City can beat, assuming Liverpool beat Bournemouth, which is a big if, granted, Bournemouth are in good form.
yeah, but you've got so many points, you can actually draw that
if
game.
Arsenal, if we draw, if Arsenal lose, absolutely done.
Arsenal
Absolutely
are not winning.
done.
I'll say it now, and look, and mark this moment. Man City finished second in the league. There's no question about it.
How many points behind Arsenal? Though?
It doesn't
Can
matter.
they make that up?
It doesn't matter. Arsenal are the biggest bottle job in the Premier League.
Yeah, they are. They are. The last couple of years, they had a pretty handy lead over City points-wise a few years ago. Genuinely did.
And what did they
bottle
do?
it.
They lost at home.
Now,
to
last season, there was about 2 or 3 different instances. I always bring this up where they went to top of the table, had a chance to go top or to increase a points gap, and they fold.
Every
They
time.
bottle. They lose
Every
games
time.
at home. They drop points at
That's
home
it. Every
or
time.
away. They just do it. They cannot.
They're like their fans. I call
Yeah.
them. Their fans are 5-0 versus Derby. They all turn up and they no.
Yeah.
Every other game they're leaving after 70 minutes to catch the early train. What is more chance of happening? Sri Lanka force a draw against Australia in the first test, or any other team but Otago win the Women's Super Smash. And I love Otago because our good mate Craig Cumming is, of course, their coach. The Super Smash prelim finals and finals take place Saturday, Sunday, women before the men. It's our Big Bash competition.
Now,
Australia scored about 150,000.
well, they're up by over 600 runs. So I cannot imagine that Sri Lanka are getting anything out of this unless a hurricane out of nowhere turns up.
Always a chance.
Well, yeah. So given that that's relying on a couple of things happening, whereas all that needs to happen for Otago not to win the Super Smash is one other team to have a blinder for performance for 3 hours, I'm going to go with that.
I'd love Sri Lanka to get up and we'll do it again finally. What more chance of happening that they do? And this would be brilliant. And please, just hailstorms, monsoons, tidal wave, whatever it is. Because Australia, that's the only way they're going to survive this test. Somehow get a draw out of that test. Or either Northern Districts or Canterbury, whoever wins, does upset Central Districts in the Super Smash final.
Again, I'll do the same thing again. What I did with the women's Super Smash, I'll do it with the men's. You're talking about one team having a great performance for a couple of hours versus godlike things happening over there in Australia. Okay? Australia are winning that test. The lead right now is massive. Super Smash, which is, results, points table, whatnot. It's always been a comp for many, many years that tosses up a couple of upsets when it comes down to the finals and the elimination final and whatnot. So I'll absolutely go with something weird happening in the men's and the women's draws. Sri Lanka
great
aren't
they did
getting
it on Sunday
anything.
at the Basin Reserve. If you've got nothing else to do, go down there and watch a couple of great games.
You know what they did last week here in Auckland? They had
and they had them on free at Eden Park
free,
Oval.
yeah.
Yeah, great idea, New Zealand cricket, because nobody's going, so just make it free. I mean, you don't need the money from it.
Rugby, swallow your pride, admit you need to sort things out and do a bit of that.
Super Rugby, just a couple of weekends away, people.
DSPN.
A-League football. Simon Hill calls it all out of Australia. He's a great old mate, and we thought we'd catch up. Champions League to start with, though, mate. You'll be delighted your mob, Man City, scunged their way into the teams that play off to then get a chance to play the round of 16.
I like the word scunged. I need to use that a little bit more in conversation, I think. Just about. They had to do it the hard way. They've had to do it the hard way throughout the entire campaign, to be honest. 1-0 down to Bruges, and obviously a defeat or a draw would have seen us out of the competition. And to be honest, I don't think we could have had too many complaints given the way that we played in the Champions League. But apologies for the barking, by the way. I'm out in a dog park at the moment. But we managed to find a way. So, it's been a pretty good week. Beat Chelsea and now through to the playoffs anyway in the Champions League.
Yeah, look, you just about need a degree in applied maths to figure all this out, don't you? And it's
Yes.
But anyway, okay, the top 8 teams. Look, let's talk about the A-League because we are just a smidge over halfway through. And the Cardiac Kings Auckland are still doing it, mate. I think, 6 games now it has been last-minute goals. And when I say last minute, I'm talking about last second. And your call over the last couple of games has been absolutely brilliant. Look, the corner where Rogerson scores and then the 1-0 win over Western. I mean, it's just... Have they used up all their luck? Have they used up all their get-out-of-jail-free cards already?
Well, I mean, you can make an argument for that, but to be honest, I think it shows that they've got great togetherness, great spirit, to be honest. It looked for all money as though that game against Western Sydney was heading for a goalless draw. Mm-hmm. We've been down that road so many times already this season with Auckland, but it's a really good habit to have. And, they've got good players that can come off the bench and impact a game as well. Moreno in particular, it's not the first time he's done it this season. So, all credit to them. The game lasts for whatever it is, 95, 100 minutes. Mm-hmm. They did it in the 100th minute against Adelaide to salvage a point thanks to Logan Rogerson. And this time it was Moreno. So, I wouldn't be saying it's luck at all. You make your own luck is the old saying. And when you go deep into a game and you've still got those players that can break a game apart in stoppage time, that's just part of the game. So they're going fantastically well. I'm enjoying watching, what's happening with Auckland on and off the field. And my only question really is how many A-League clubs over here picking up the phone to Auckland and saying, "Hey, can you tell us what you're doing right?
That's a recipe,
Because
yeah.
we could do with some of that."
How the rest of the clubs, the rest of the league, do you think reacting to this? I mean, when the new boy comes into the playground and he takes over the first 5 jersey and starts playing for the first 15. I mean, there's always a little bit of resentment from some, isn't there?
To be honest, I haven't really sensed that. I think that might be, with respect, a bit of a Kiwi chip on the shoulder thing about Australia. I think most people over here have embraced Auckland because, they're fans of the game as well as of their club. Now, I'm not saying that they're pleased that their clubs are getting beaten by Auckland every week, but I think they're certainly appreciating what they're bringing to the league. And to be honest, without Auckland this season, there wouldn't have been too many feel-good stories, maybe Adelaide. So I think they're doing a great job, not just, for Auckland and for New Zealand football, but they're doing a good job for the A-League in general. And as I say, my biggest question is, why are A-League clubs, and they might be doing this to be fair, but why are they not beating the door down of the people over there in Auckland and say, hey, let us know how you do this, because really this is something that we should emulate.
Simon, a couple of things here, and you've got to come over and witness the local derby atmosphere. But it's just,
I'd love to.
Mate, it's been brilliant. Yeah, you've had 2 huge crowds, 28,000 or so. We've still got one derby to go, of course. So It's instantly added that, and it's got a natural rivalry already. Auckland versus Wellington always has a rivalry, little brother, but this has just added to it. But what has really impressed me is outside of that, they're picking 14.5, 15K to games. They've got them on at the right time of the afternoon. Rugby's got to learn a big lesson here. They've gone out of their way big time to create an atmosphere that the kids want to come to. There's DJs going, there's water slides, there's a beach, there's all kinds of stuff. And I know that some people say, hey, that's all a distraction. But again, you've got to kind of think outside the square these days. There's so much going on in terms of sport in the city where you can spend your money. So the fact that they are attracting crowds that the Blues, who are the champion side here in Auckland and Super Rugby, would love to have. It's a big tick for them. And I suppose a lot of us have been watching thinking, is that going to drop off after the derby? Was it just okay, a one-off a bit? But it hasn't been. The support has been there.
Yeah, it has. And obviously it helps that they're winning and they're near the top of the league. There might be, for example, in year 2, if there's a bit of a drop-off, and this does happen with A-League clubs because we're in a salary cap competition. If they're down at the bottom, do they still get the same crowds? There's probably a bit of a novelty factor there at the moment as well. Let's be honest about that. That's not to decry anything that they're doing. The only thing I would say is that, Auckland perhaps just need to heed the warning of the Western Sydney Wanderers. When they came into the competition 10 or 12 years ago now, probably a bit longer than that actually, but they flew out of the blocks. They won the premiership, got to the grand final. Pertac Stadium, the old Pertac Stadium was packed pretty much every week. And then, they hit a roadblock. They had to move stadiums. There was problems with the RBB. And now, you go to CommBank Stadium and to be honest, I could weep. It was the same on Sunday, 7,000 there. Very
empty, doesn't it?
mute, very mute, just nowhere near the same atmosphere. So, Auckland, and I'm not saying that they won't do this, by the way, and it might even be different in New Zealand, I don't know, but, there was a confluence of circumstances over here, a lot of it led by the media, who were hostile to the game of football, and particularly to the Wanderers, because they were eating into rugby league heartland and doing really well. They wanted them to fail, and they were looking for reasons to get at them. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Auckland. Again, I don't know the landscape as well as you guys do in New Zealand, but, that's the sort of thing that they have to guard against. At the moment, they're very connected to their supporter base, which is brilliant. The Wanderers were the same in the early years, and then it all collapsed in a heap. So they've got to guard against that. It's not just one season. The old saying is a football club is for life, not just for Christmas. So, let's hope that this is a long-term sustainable club and that they're here in 50 years' time with crowds of, 25, 30,000.
Let's leave you then with the Phoenix, who I'm just checking that 5-3 and 6 at the moment. They've only won 2 out of the last 8. They're 4 points off the top 6. It's not like they've fallen off a cliff or anything, and we've seen glimpses this year, but we haven't seen the same side as we saw last year. How do you assess where they are at right now?
Yeah, they've come back to the pack. And, it's interesting. This happens a lot in the A-League. The two, by far, the best clubs in the competition last year were the Mariners and Wellington Phoenix. And this year, both have dropped away. They've lost some key players, and I'm not saying this is entirely the reason, but I thought Oscar Zavada was a really good import for Wellington. He's been a big loss for them, and they just haven't quite been able to hit the heights of last season. But these are the vagaries of the salary cap competition, and the proponents of it say, it keeps the competition even, and every year everybody's got a chance. But I'm an old romantic. I like to see clubs build dynasties, and I don't think it's a bad thing to have big clubs and small clubs. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
That's our podcasting show for today. Again, if you're liking what you're listening and what you're seeing, then a small favour, if you will. Can you please hit like, share, subscribe, follow? Tell a friend about it. We are a fledgling podcast and show, the DSPN, and we need you. And if you are participating, well, just click that subscribe button. That would help enormously. Thank you so much if you already have. Again, tell a friend if you like. We're doing this every single day, putting out a show every afternoon. The DSPN.
This is the DSPN.